guys, it's your girl Haley, and today we have my mom with us.
Hello.
My mom's name is Jamie, and what we're basically going to get into today is just talking about the holidays, family, what that looks like for us, especially now more than ever because Money and I are, trying to build a family ourselves. And I feel like a lot of those thoughts around, one, trying to build a family, but two, the fact that it's a holiday season has been a big topic of discussion. So I went to lunch with my mom the other day, and for whatever reason, it didn't dawn on me until I've always known that our family wasn't close, right? And I guess I never really thought about it too much. I knew going into a marriage that I would not be offering like a big family to somebody, because I know some people are like, oh, I want to marry somebody that has a big, close family and super family oriented. And I had a lot of friends that said something, and I was like, dang, I ain't gonna get married. Because that's a big thing that people talk about all the time. And I knew that that's not something that I had to offer. But at the same time, it's not something that bothered me too much until now. The more that we talk about having kids and building a family, it makes me think our kids are most likely only really gonna know Money's family. He's pretty close with both sides of his family, but it's like, Mama's not here and Big I's not here. Big I was my aunt. Big O was my aunt. She was my grandmother's sister. And I feel like all the people who did things to keep everybody together kind of isn't here anymore. And the generation under that, everybody's kind of falling out, so they don't necessarily see a purpose in continuing to be close. And we do still have Annie, because when we went to Christmas, I think it was when you went to Christmas or Thanksgiving over there and hung out with her for a little bit. But I think now, I feel like a stranger in my own family, you know what I mean? What do you think?
My views and your views they're different.
Mm-hmm.
Although my grandmother had 7 kids on my dad's side, and then my nanny on my mom's side had 7 kids.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 14 aunts and uncles that I had growing up.
You're right as far as perspective goes, because we didn't really know all of them like you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I moved out at an early age at 15.
Mm-hmm.
I had nowhere to go, although we had a big family. I don't know if different cultures of being biracial played a part of me not being able to get along with either side. But I always known that I've been strong-minded, and I fought a lot growing up. So when I had kids, I said to myself, well, my kids will not be around this.
Mm-hmm.
Or my kids will not have to put up with this.
Mm-hmm.
Before I even had kids at 13, 15, I would think like I would never put my kids through this, or I wouldn't want my kids around this person or that person.
Mm-hmm.
So the people that you guys, Big I, my mom, people that y'all actually were allowed to go around are not here anymore. But I also limited the access to them because of their lifestyle.
Yes, a couple times I had to pee in a cup for Big Guy, so
Yeah.
I understood the limitations.
But my mom had me at 16, and a 16-year-old with a child who's being punished for having that child by not being able to go to school or hang out because she got to stay home with the child. That was her punishment. You had her, you're going to raise her. So when my mama went to go party, I went partying with my mom. I remember at 3 years old sitting in a circle smoking weed with her and her friends. I think when I got up to my learning ability in school, it affected my learning. I had to study harder, or I had to read, just things I didn't want y'all around that I knew my mom and my aunt was capable of.
Yeah.
Where I always tried to better myself, it was perceived, she thinks she's better than us.
I do think that any sort of dynamic where you recognize this isn't a healthy family dynamic, so I need to do something different. Anytime you step out and say, I'm going to do something different, no matter if it's in your heart that you're better than that person, it's always going to come off that way, because it's like, why do you think you can do something different than us? or what makes you so different? Why isn't this lifestyle good enough for you?
But what made it hard for me was my kids. You guys didn't understand why I was so mean, why I was so strict. I remember one time coming over to Mama's house and you were sitting in one of my mom's friends' laps. I said, get out of his lap. Why are you in his lap? What's wrong? And you was a small child.
I don't even remember that.
I snatched you up and I said, we don't do that, And I just went off on everybody in the room and I told them, don't pick my child up and put her in your effing lap. But I had to be that way to get my point across. I'm not playing with you. You are you. But as you guys got older, I was perceived to have the attitude of or being angry. Or when I'm at Mama's, we have such a good time, but you don't want us over there.
I'll say I probably looked at things differently. I think that's more so the perspective that Jordan had more than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But even being younger, I picked up very quickly why we were not able to be in certain places for long periods of time, because next thing you know, you're gonna be offered to smoke a blunt with somebody, or
Right.
you're gonna be all
A drink. You want some of this wine?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So it's not that I personally never felt that way. I would say for me, my frustrations came from, and I understand a lot more now that I'm older, but my frustrations came from your lashing out in anger came from what you had been through. But that was your response, even in situations that didn't warrant it. And so I was always one of those people. I can understand why you're angry here, but I can't understand why you're angry in a situation that's not that way. But it's almost like if every time a child says hey to you and you slap them across the face, they're going to eventually stop saying hey to you. Because, like, I'm saying, they're going to eventually.
I did not do that.
No. I'm saying in your
I know what you
situation,
mean.
though, like, every time a child says hey to you, you slap them in the face. So they're then conditioned, oh, I don't speak to you, or I don't say hey to you, or whatever the case may be. So now that I'm older, I recognize your behavior, regardless if it was warranted in that moment, you've been conditioned to be that way from the time that you were a child until then. And while I was younger, while I understood it was warranted in some situations, I did not understand why are we okay. I see why you be mad sometimes, but like it's not that deep right now. And that would be my thing personally. But those would also be issues like when it came to Jordan. Jordan was older as well, and he, I would say, was a lot closer with Jason, Day Day, and like all of them. Mm-hmm. So when he's being told he can't do something, it's almost like, and those are the big cousins, those are the cool kids. You telling me I can't hang out with my cool cousins. You tell me I can't hang out, like, you know what I mean? And I don't think, even though he knew the things that they were doing, it's like you're in that phase of it's really not that big of a deal though. You know what I mean? And I think that's where a lot of his frustrations came from when we were younger, because it's no different, in my opinion, than teenagers lashing out with their friends. And they're like, why can't I hang out with them? And you know what those friends are up to. You know exactly what they're doing and why you shouldn't be around them.
Sometimes you can kind of predict before it happens.
Yes, I believe that you can.
You just know when you meet a person that they're going to have you in a situation. Mm-hmm. I think my survival of surviving the way I did, and the fact that we've never been homeless, we've always had vehicles, I've always worked, there's things that you can predict with people, and I learned at a young age, read the room, know who you're talking to. Mm-hmm. Do not start talking to people until you figure them out first. Mm-hmm. That's even in speaking, because being a young girl and not being protected, mm-hmm. you get into some situations where the people that you're supposed to trust, mm-hmm. violates you or tries to violate you. So you learn real quick. You're not quick to hug. Yeah. You're not quick to speak or smile. Mm-hmm. And I guess as a kid, you learn that. And I was told over and over, kids are to be seen and not heard. So growing up with that and then moving out at 15 on my own and having my own place and being betrayed by many friends and many people at school, teachers and things that were supposed to protect you, judged you, judged your situation. So when I had you guys, my priority was, I knew in the back of my mind, nobody had me and nobody cares about my kids but me. And because I brought you into this world, it's my job to protect you. Now, you might not like how I'm going to protect you. You might not like how I'm going to discipline you, but I know what's best for all of us. And I know that's not a good thing to have when you're dealing with other people, but we're talking about my children that I brought into this world that it's my job to provide for. And I love my mom. I always loved my mom. But she had a lot of resentment from when she grew up with things that had happened to her as a child, to her getting pregnant with me and being made to keep me when she didn't want me, and me using me as the punishment. And then I had my nanny and my papa who loved me. But it was just a weird situation growing up and having to process all this at 3 and 5 and 7 and 8 and 9. You know, you're learning all this behavior. And as I got older with you guys, I had to unlearn some things that I picked up. And when you're having to unlearn things, these are things that are normal for you.
Oh, thanks.
Your normality is not normal to society. So you're having to teach yourself what's right and wrong. And I try not to be real religious because we all know that I backslide a lot, but I love the Lord. I really believe that if that love that I had for the Lord and the fact that I knew he loved me, so I had to take that to change myself. What you might see is a problem with me, my attitude and fighting all the time. You might see that as a problem. I didn't see that as a problem. My thing is, I got to get you or straighten you out before you cross the line. Not you as a kid, but people.
Yeah, that was the reality. I need to go ahead and assert my dominance before you get too froggy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I even learned some people you can be too nice to, where they will try you. It was just the people I was around. So when I started going to school and I was pregnant with Jordan and I started dealing with different people, I started learning that wasn't good to do, or that's not nice to do, or
because you're thinking about what you're showing him.
And dressing. I used to just wear stuff because it was cute, not knowing that the way I dress is making a statement. So when I'm showing a lot of cleavage or a lot of thigh, I'm not thinking it's advertisement. It's just, I like how this look. I look good in this. So when you get around other people, sometimes people can be, cruel to you, where you look like a slut. And then some people like, baby, you can dress something, you can wear something a little bit nicer than that. You don't have to always, I'm like, and me, with my attitude, I like what I got on. You don't like it, don't look at it. But I had to learn these things. So when I first started noticing my appearance, I was in college. I went to community college, and I started noticing people treated me how I looked. A lot of people don't say that. Just wear what you want, just be you. But then how are you, what is your statement on how you're looking? So I started learning to dress more ladylike. I started learning to talk a little bit better than always using every other cuss word in my sentence.
Yeah, you used to cuss a lot.
I still do when I'm mad.
No, I was gonna say, I know by the time I came around, you have been working on it, but man.
But that was my vocabulary. And that's what made me fall in love with your dad, because, he gave me a book. He was a police officer, and I was manager at Crystal's, and I think I was 22 years old, and I was general manager or assistant manager then at Crystal's. And he said, I got something for you. And he goes out to his police car and comes back, and it's a book, vocabulary. And one of the statements in the book is that people cuss because they have a low vocabulary. See, things like that, that put a pause in me.
Mm-hmm.
And it just made me want to do better. And I think God put people on my path to help me see myself.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you're dealing with God, He doesn't allow you to judge other people. He reflects things back for you to evaluate yourself.
Yeah.
And I had to do a lot of evaluating and looking at me, which I still have a lot to work on, because marriages, raising kids, things that life happens to people. And even though I was on my own at 15 and didn't have any kids for a while until after I turned 18, 19, I had my first child. But when I was on my own at 15, when I was in that restaurant working as a manager, lying about my age, watching the cars go by at the restaurant late at night. It's just little things that I didn't know that I was learning about people and life, and getting by myself and thinking about the things that had happened to me. And I could have been angry. I could have been on drugs. I could have been a lot of things. But instead, God put me in a place to allow me to want to continue to learn, to financially build myself up, to take care of myself. But at the same time, I had my mom popping up at my job asking me for money and then cussing me out and calling me bees and saying how I think I'm better than her.
Mm-hmm.
So 4 or 5 years later, when I start having a family, my common sense tell me I have to separate myself, or I'm going to be doing the same things that she done, or have the same resentments.
Or teaching my kids. Yeah. I will say, like, when it comes to, when it comes to our family and the way that everybody is, even for the time and the people that we were able to be around, I think a lot of people think when you're a child, you don't recognize or see the dysfunction. And I think a lot of times parents and grandparents are assuming that you don't know and or understand some of these things. And a lot of it comes up later on when you're hitting those teenage years, when you're hitting those early 20s. I didn't realize how bad my anger was.
Yeah, we got a temper.
I'm not gonna hold you. I didn't realize how distrusting I was, how angry I was, how aggressive. I very much was full on, I'm gonna get you before you get me. I didn't realize how much of those things translated into my personality, how I conducted myself in relationships. It was so bad. I had Dr. Amy and AJ was like, in my first relationship, why are you so mean to him? I was like, I'm not mean. Like, you are kind of mean to him. And not even just them, but other people.
That's opinion.
Well, no, not even just them. Other people saw it. Like, and I had to step back. And this was probably around year 2. I stepped back and I'm like, maybe I am kind of mean. Because I thought I was nice. But really, it wasn't that I was mean. It's that I was void of emotion. I didn't like vulnerability. I didn't do well with being vulnerable.
Is very hard.
I didn't do, like, and I was to an extent. I don't think my ex would necessarily characterize me as mean, but I didn't realize how different my personality was and how guarded I was in that relationship until I became open in this one. Like, in this relationship, and I've said this to Money before, I really do think that you have gotten the best of who I am, but I'm grateful that I learned it before we had children. Because emotional vulnerability is something that not that I just didn't like it. It's like I'm scared of it. If I'm vulnerable with you, you'll take advantage of that. If I'm vulnerable, but then one day something just clicked to me, because I also had this mindset of, I can love you, but you're not about to disrespect me. I can love you, but that doesn't mean you're gonna be able to use it. You're not gonna be able to.
Don't be trying to run over me.
Yes, and you know what's so crazy?
Yeah.
I wish I could remember the Bible verse. I can't even remember. And I just found it, yesterday or the day before yesterday. And it essentially was like, it has something to do with strength in vulnerability. not I'm strong in your weakness, not that verse. And I can't remember what it was, but that's when it all clicked to me. Because I don't need to be afraid of being who I am emotionally as long as I don't allow you to use that as a weapon against me. Because the only way that it becomes a weakness is if I allow it to. So if we translate it over into relationships, I was guarded, very guarded in my first relationship and even my second relationship. But when that kind of clicked for me, I started letting my walls down a little bit more, and it turned into, it doesn't matter how much I share with you. It doesn't matter how much I love you. That's still not going to change the fact that I'm not going to allow that to be the reason why I stay if you're abusive. Allow that, how much I love you, be the reason why I put up with you acting just any kind of way, or to let you believe you have an upper hand on me. And it took me a little while to get that mindset. But said all that to say, a lot of how Mama was, how Big I was, how, Wowo and everybody, just seeing how they interacted with one another, I think to a certain extent, it's like we can see the dysfunction. We can see the love in it. Like, it's more than evident that they love
I'll
each
put
other.
up with you because you're my sister, but the rest of them...
like, we can... I will say, though, that they did a good job of trying to keep people together, even in their twisted way of doing it. But I feel like once we lost, it's like Pawpaw, then Big Eye. Especially, I think Bug Eye played a big role, too, in us having relationships with our cousins. Like, it broke my heart when Bug Eye passed away, and it made me feel so guilty that I didn't continue having the relationship that I had early high school and middle school when I got older. And I know Kayla did. Kayla and Kelly kind of stayed close, but me and Jay were closer when we were younger, and as she was older than me too, so as she got older, I got older. We just ended up doing our own things. But it's like Bug Eye and Kenya, they played a really good role, and Bug Eye was so, like, obviously, call me if Sydney acting up, I'll be at the house, and he did that a few times. Anytime we needed something, anytime we were moving and he was available, he's gonna show up. They can come stay the night at the house. We've been to Six Flags and did all types of stuff with them, and he was that family member, especially that male family member, that also didn't play about other men in the family either. He was one that you knew he ain't about to let nothing go down. You know what I'm saying? And I think they all did a really good job of keeping people together, but it was like one by one, when everybody started passing, it's like, what's the point? Because the people that they were keeping together, for the most part, didn't like each other to begin with. Like, a lot of our cousins, we don't like it. Like, we bump heads left, right, and center. Now, for disclaimer,
we love you.
We love you.
We just don't like you.
We love y'all. But here's, and I don't even think it's like I don't like you. It's fundamentally our lifestyles are different.
I don't like how you make me feel. I don't like how you treat me when I'm right in the room.
I don't like the situations
that
you try to put. I love you, but you doing crap. I'm so sorry. I'm not about to be in the car with you.
And don't tell me I think I'm better just because I don't get high.
No, it has nothing to do with being better. It's the fact that I don't want to be in those situations. And I have these conversations with the family members that I'm still close with. I can love you all day, but I'm not about to throw my life away. I'm not about to put myself in a position.
But what really bothers me is I can call these family members and say, or I can text them and say, I love you. I hope all is well. I love you. I love you. I hope you're having a good day. And it's like I get no response.
Until they need some money.
It's very hurtful that you don't respond, and I haven't saw you in a long while.
Yeah.
And then when I see your name in my phone, you want money.
I also think
that breaks my heart.
I also think not all of them, but some of them perceive because your lifestyle is different that you're rich.
And I work all the time. They know I work all the time. She's always working. She's got money.
And I'm like, I'm gonna be real with you. It pisses me off that I have one cousin in particular that only reaches out to me when they want money. And I'm like, I have tried to have relationships with them. I've tried to plan lunch dates with them.
It's not that they think you're rich. It's that you got more than them, period. They don't care if you're rich. They just see that you have more. And because you have more, you should share. Which we're taught that as a kid. Share with Jordan. You share with Kayla. Don't come in here if you can't share.
See.
And I'm just telling you.
I can see that.
We put that in our kids' heads that you have to share with your cousins and your brother. And they grow up thinking, she has more than me. She can help me. She can give to me. You know, I got cousins now that I love with with everything in me, and I miss seeing them, talking to them. But it's like you feel that rejection, and when you feel the rejection, that's when I want to separate.
But I'll say that you also get told, well, ever since you started this job, or ever since you moved here, or ever since
Or
you
you got the
this
new car,
you
got a
acted
new
funny.
house. Yeah.
But here's my thing. I kid you not one person in our family can actually say that I have acted funny. It is the fact that you perceive me as somebody different than who I've been this
It's
entire
how
time.
you treat me that makes me react the way I
That's
act.
my thing. Before, when we were like this, we were both doing the same things, both in the same places, or whatever the case may be. We never had to have these conversations. Nothing was ever weird. But when I started doing stuff, you started asking for stuff. And I, being the person that I am, anybody who has asked me 1 or 2 times for something, I have given it. I have given it no questions asked. Because I'm like, oh yeah, that's my cousin. That's whoever. But then I realized our relationship shifted to, it's always, can you do? Can I get? Give me, give me,
Don't
give me.
give back.
I don't get invited to go out for your birthday. I don't get, like, we don't hang out like we used to. You're not trying to come see me at school no more. I don't get invited to the house no more. It is only, can I have something? And that's when I started acting funny, because you didn't want to hang out with me anymore. I became more of an ATM than a relationship. And I'm like, why in the world? And people were treating me that way when I went to college. I don't understand why everybody thought when I went to college, for whatever reason, that I was not a broke college student. But I was definitely a broke college student. I got cousins hitting me up for money. I'm like, babes, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to pay for these ramen noodles. I'm very much confused. I'm trying to pick up an extra shift at the daggone Cracker Barrel. Like, it was weird. And from then on, I think college is when everything changed.
Again, I think even though you were struggling in college, they were saying
That
you
I was
had more.
or something.
You had more than they had. You was doing better than
But they didn't.
they were doing. They wasn't going to college. They wasn't working, and they wasn't.
I don't even think, here's my thing. I do think that society has put too much on people to say, if you're going to college, you're better, because there are a plethora of careers that you will make way more money starting out without a college degree. But they didn't want to do, like, I was having this conversation with Sydney. Sydney's my younger brother. I was telling him, there's a lot of, like, blue collar jobs you don't need a college degree for. And I'm telling you right now, you'll be making more money starting out right now than I do. And I got a whole degree. My degree didn't mean a dang thing. I have yet to work in my field or get a raise because of my bachelor's degree, but I got a whole lot of student debt. College is taught too much as an elitist kind of thing, when in reality, that don't mean nothing, depending on, if you want to make something shake, you can make something happen without a college degree. It doesn't mean I'm smarter than you, doesn't mean I'm better than you, because I know so many people. You got millionaires, business owners, so many people who live a comfortable life, middle class life, healthy life, that do not have a college degree. So don't put that on me. I never thought I was better than you.
But you're blessed in your favor. And in being favored, favor's not fair. When people give you stuff and you have favor, other people envy that. And when they ask you for stuff, not because you're rich, because you have more than me. It takes a lot for a person to just sit around and think, I'm going to ask Haley. No, it's something that they've been thinking and pondering on, about how well you're doing, how you seem this and how you seem to have that. And then they say, well, I'm going to call Haley and ask her. And when you say no or I can't, they see that again as a form of rejection.
I will say this. Not today, don't get no ideas. But anytime that somebody has reached out to me, at least the first couple of times, I have given, even when I needed it. And I will say, I never expected anything back. I never expected something from it. It was just simply, oh, you need it, let me help you. And I didn't feel the need to give you a sob story either, because sometimes I was giving out of my lack, no matter how you perceive the position I was giving out of my lack. But the point in time that it just turned into, you don't care about me no more. You don't care about how I'm doing. You're not talking to me. You're not reaching out. It hurt because I want those relationships. I care about how you're doing. And I'm not going to, it's not contingent upon what you can do for me. I will say this. I think losing the baby put into perspective a lot of things of the relationships that I had with people, and the number of people who call you to be their problem fixer, who call you to not even just problem fixer as far as financial, but emotional, when they have relationship issues, when they need advice or whatever the case may be, but how there's such a lack to reach out when you are going through something, and I know you know, and you don't care.
Well, this is why, again, you said it, and again, we are not close. So everything you just said is healthy to separate yourself from people that don't care. You losing a baby and going through what you went through, you could have lost your life. You could have bled to death. You could have done a number of things. You could have got septic. Nobody cared about that. All they knew was you were still doing better than them. And that's why, everything you just said, that's why I separate myself. Not because I think I'm better, not because I don't love them, because I do love them and I miss them dearly. But when you have a sibling that you're texting, I love you, I hope all is well, I would like to talk to you, it'd be nice to see, and you get no response, it's time to let it go. And I feel like time heals all wounds. I feel that. But you can't force a person. And when a person is doing that, sometimes they don't even hate you that much. They just want you to keep working toward pulling them in. But you can't focus on that and continue to live a healthy life that God intends on. You still be respectful.
Yeah.
You still reach out, let them know you love them. But at some point, you have to say, this is about me and my kids.
And I think when it comes to having kids and thinking about it, even the little bit of access that we did have to some of them, my kids won't even have those memories.
Well, they have new memories.
They will, but not with my family. That's my point.
You keep saying not with your family, but
they're gonna have you.
But who is your family? Who is your family?
I have you.
We make but we make the best of it.
I
so
know.
Not just me. You have siblings. You have Kay. Even though Kayla's in Montana, you have
you know
Kayla.
how hard it is.
Well, I know.
Orchestrate anything.
But you have Kayla, you have Sydney, and you have Jordan. In spite of how they are, you handle each of them very fragile.
But here
accordingly.
Hear what I'm saying. Who my children get to grow up with.
God's will.
Mama, I love what you're saying, but I want to be in reality. In reality today, I hadn't seen Kayla in 3 years until this past week.
And
I'm not
blessing.
It was, and I'm not blaming her. I'm not blaming her for it. I'm not upset with her for it, but I'm talking about who my children get to grow up with.
Well, they grow up.
But let me say what I'm saying. They're not going to grow up with them. They're not going every holiday. How many?
Okay, so
hold on. Let me paint the picture of what I'm actually thinking about with my kids. It's going to be you, but every holiday, all those things, birthday parties, stuff like that, it's not to the same degree. I know that they're going to have a loving aunt and uncles. I know that when we get around, they're going to have a good time. But I live in a different state, and I don't deal in the fantasy idea. The truth of the matter is, they're not going to be close. They're not going to. The likelihood of them having a relationship where they feel like I'm close to my cousins that they have, I'm close to my aunt and uncle, most likely they will be viewed as very extended family due to the limited access that we have. That is what I'm referring to. I'm not saying that they're going to be around. And I understand family is what you make it. But oftentimes, so many people will, for lack of better words, they just lie. They say you're like family. Oh my gosh, you're so much like family, you're like family. And I have taken that to heart with too many people, only to be put in situations
that
to show I'm not family. When I say, I don't say that lightly. If I consider you family, I truly mean that. You can come to any family holiday. Like anything that we do, you're there. I mean it when I say people are family. I have seen too many times somebody tell me I'm like family, and I'm not.
Well, that's why you handle people accordingly.
I know, but I'm just saying that still hurts. And my children, they are going to have that from money. They're going to have that from you. But I don't have much to offer outside of that.
But I would say your children is going to be blessed.
I know.
To have that restriction and the assets that you had, they're not going to have it, which to me, I see that as a blessing, considering the things that we've all been through in our family. I think God removed things from our path that's not going to be healthy. I believe that. Not saying anything negative, but I see where you seeing it where it's heartbreaking. I'm seeing it as your kid is not going to have to take a P test for somebody that's trying to do a drug test. Where I wouldn't
let them have that much access.
Well, where I see it is your kid's not going to be offered weed or wine. Where I see it, kids are not going to hear about sexual immorality or seeing it on TV, the stuff that we've been exposed to. I miss my nanny. I missed her today. I cried. I miss my mom, even though she calls me names and tell me how mean I am.
You just do what I do.
But my grandkids, but I try so hard to shelter y'all from them. I'm not going to have to protect my grandkids from them because now they're gone, but at the same time, they're not gone. The good memories and ways are still here.
I also think the other part of it is they're not really going to know.
Yes, they are, because you're going to tell them.
They're not going to be able to witness and see where mommy comes from.
You're going to tell them.
But
you're going to show them pictures.
Hearing your stories is not the same as knowing Big Eye. I love to hear your stories.
They don't need to know Big Eye, because Big Eye is going to show up with guns and knives and talking about she going down the street.
I'm saying for me as your child, hearing your stories they wouldn't mean as much if I didn't know the people in them. They mean so much because I know them. To them, it's another story. And they're not going to know them.
But that's good. It's good. Do your kids need to know how to jump on people? do your kids need to be cussed out when they don't clean up their toys?
I'm not talking about just the negative stuff.
I can hear Mary now.
Because I have had great memories.
What about Mary saying this? Oh, you think you just as good as your damn mama? Clean this shit up and quit looking at me side.
No, the moral of the story that I'm trying to say is not just the negative stuff. Take out all negative stuff. Even when we have a happy, healthy family, all of them dead. So even if it was happy and healthy, they're still...
Taylor, quit dwelling on that.
I'm not saying...
Your kids is going to have a strong, healthy family life.
I just want to get off my chest how I actually feel. And that I don't... Like, that idea that they are not going to know where mommy comes from for real. They're not even in the same state that I came from.
And I don't like y'all don't go to Georgia how many times?
But to see AJ's family. When I go back to Georgia, I went...
Well,
hold on.
I live right down the street from AJ.
When I go back to Georgia, it's never with my family. This Thanksgiving, I'm spending it with Doc and her family. We don't have people to do stuff with. I am a part of celebrations and holidays of other people's families. It's not my family. You made it that way. When is the last time she's ever talked to me?
When was the last time you called her?
I have reached out even when I got married. But the point that I'm trying to make is I would love to have family to do stuff with. And I am getting to the point of realizing that is just a chapter that is closed, unfortunately. And I know that probably hits you even harder. I probably don't feel it to the same magnitude that you do, but that still breaks my heart to think. My children are going to know their grandmother and distant aunts and uncles, and that's it. Their entire world is going to be North Carolina and daddy's family. Like, that's it. And to be quite honest with you, I've had cousins reach out and ask for TikTok advice. Y'all ain't even talked to me in I don't know how long. Last message that you got from me went on read, and the next following up message was, can I get some help with social media? That hurts.
You're just going to have to take it. You're just going to have to take the hurt, and you're going to have to suck it up.
Oh, I do. But I still...
But quit thinking like that.
I think you think if I express my feelings that I dwell on this in a constant place? No. But I do think it's healthy for me to actually get off my chest what I feel. Because I've been able to progress and build what I've built and be in the relationship that I'm in.
Don't be sad for your kids. Your kids are going to be fine.
I'm just expressing how I feel. I should be able to say, this is what's on my mind and this is what's in my heart without it saying, well, don't dwell on it. I'm not. But this is how I feel in this moment, and I finally need to get it off of my chest. I'm not going to say this is going to allow me to spiral in like a depression or something. The thing that prevents me from spiraling into a depression is getting those feelings off of my chest. Because if I don't say it, I'm gonna think about it.
Well, I'm saying your kids are gonna be healthy, fine, and they can't miss something they never had.
I don't think that they're gonna miss it. I don't think it's not about that. It's about it sucks that you're not going to know me in the way that I would have loved for you to experience. It does to a certain extent feel
That's why
like,
you write them notes and journals.
and I will, but it's still, again, not know me in the way that I would have loved for you to experience. But I think my kids will be happy because, first of all, Money's family, they like this. Like, Money and Denzel are first cousins, but you could not tell them that they was not brothers, the way that their relationship is. And I think that's the thing that I love so much about him. Like, meeting everybody, coming here, everybody was open arms, loving and kind. When we were waiting for the house to finish being built, Aunt Bunny let us come live with her because it was past the time that was supposed to be done, and the Money's lease was up. I let my lease go in Winston. So when she said, like, as long as you want, she meant it. It wasn't I can't wait till y'all get out this house. Like, how much longer is it? Like our family would have. No, she even came and was like, because something got messed up during the build, and she was like, tell them if they need another 2 weeks, then they need to take the other 2 weeks, because that house need to be great by the time y'all move in. And the level of how genuine they are, and how, like, I ain't gonna act like they ain't got their own problems within their family, but when they say you're like family, that was the first experience that I had where they meant it. I don't feel like a stranger when I come into those homes. I don't feel like an outsider when I'm surrounded by them. And that's how I feel with our family sometimes. But all in all, I know at the end of the day that there is a plan, a purpose for all that God has allowed, and it will work out for the good of those who serve the Lord. And I'm trusting in Him. It doesn't change that sometimes it hurts, but it's not something that I'm going to let dictate my life. And I am grateful that my children will have an opportunity to see what a close-knit family looks like, especially with how their dad is, like, crazy. Money is crazy close to people, and if you're not close, he's gonna make you close. I love that about it. I love that they have that opportunity to have that type of father figure.
You know, I appreciate son-in-law wanting me to live with y'all, and y'all let me live with y'all for a year. It was tough for me, but I appreciate that. That meant a lot.
I'm glad.
It still means a lot that y'all want me over here. You know?
And wait till we get that land and build that house. You have a little home over there too. You have your own home, so you don't feel like you're intruding. Because I know you be getting in your head like you in other people's space too much.
And again, that's part of me growing up, being on my own. I had lived by myself in 29 years. I've had my own place, but I had you guys and
exes.
4 kids and 2 ex-husbands. I raised 2 ex-husbands and 4 kids.
I'm proud of you though. I'm proud of you for moving out here and doing it. Because I
And
know
it was a lot.
I know it was really big for you to do all that.
It was.
But guess what?
What?
You gonna thrive. Give it another year. First of all, we gonna end up retiring you. That's what
Because I'm going home to take a nap right now.
All right. Well, that's all we have for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm still working on an intro and outro, so y'all don't say nothing. But until next time, we appreciate y'all for joining us, and y'all have a blessed day.